So about 2 years ago, I picked up The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it quickly became my favorite game. There is something about this game that is so different than anything I've played before. And the incredible thing about Breath of the Wild is that it's changed the way so many people looked at open world exploration games. So today, we're going to be looking at Breath of the Wild and how it's impacted the gaming scene, and how it continues to spark conversation. So if you're familiar with Nintendo's latest installment in the legendary Zelda franchise, you'll know that Breath of the Wild is somewhat of a masterpiece. In terms of gameplay and mechanics and overall storyline, it isn't anything special. But the most insane thing about Breath of the Wild is that it offers a real glimpse into a type of game that has gone mostly unexplored in the gaming industry. A form of open world gameplay that's way more advanced than the one commonly found in other mainstream games. A type of game that makes series like Red Dead Redemption and The Witcher feel outright primitive. This new Legend of Zelda game shows what amazing things can be done when you provide a player with the tools to explore a truly dynamic open world game with the power of real freedom and determination. And this amazing concept has some intricate science and meaning behind it. Essentially, the whole reason Breath of the Wild has thrived so much is due to the principle of equal finality. Equifinality is basically the principle that a given end goal can be reached in a variety of different ways. We see equifinality in some degree and level in almost all of the popular video games of the decade. The more of it, the better, and Breath of the Wild gives you a lot of equifinality in both short-term and long-term goals. Like most games, Breath of the Wild gives you a solid long-term end goal, but gives you immense freedom of how you want to get there. You can choose to explore, take the game in the direction you want to take it, and shape it to whatever style suits you best. You can rush straight for Ganon and take on the boss within 35 minutes of starting. Or, you can slowly and freely explore each cave, town, quest, and finally reach Ganon 700 hours in. In concept, having a two-way path like this is easy, but it is actually extremely hard. The lone fact that Breath of the Wild manages to keep players engaged for 700 hours plus speaks volumes. Every single twist and turn has something new in store, and discovering gives the most satisfaction from any game. Entire threads and forums are dedicated to reliving memories of discovering Hyrule Village hundreds of hours after completing the game, seeing dragons for the first time, and getting your mind blown over and over again. Every new place is developed so well, and the towns are extremely unique, yet give the best feeling when you find a new one. The players also receive freedom in small gameplay features, from shrines, Lynels, to divine beasts. The only reason this works so well is because of the strong and stable rules and physical mechanics the game has in place. Going back and trying to get all the shrines made me realize how many ways there are to actually complete one. It feels like nowadays, the game developers try to tell people to play your own way, but it's almost always the illusion of choice. There is almost always an optimal team comp, best strat, best combo. But in Breath of the Wild, this claim to fame feels fulfilled. The four main basic specialty mechanics, Magnesis, Cryonis, Status, and Bombs, mesh together in a way that allows different people to pick and choose how they want to approach problems. This, combined with some of the more advanced mechanics like Korok leaves and Octorok balloons, provide an infinite number of solutions. This sandbox-esque feeling leaves players feeling as if they thought of an original solution. Another reason why Breath of the Wild has been the most influential game of the decade is due to its power to create nostalgia. By just playing a short audio clip, everyone who has played Breath of the Wild will feel something come back to them. The sheer amount of credit that Breath of the Wild is due for managing to create nostalgia in only 2 years is insane. But why is this? For starters, Breath of the Wild lets you create memories that you connect with the game. By placing yourself in an immersive, empty, lonely open world, the game forces you to make decisions for yourself. You have to go find the towns, dragons, mountains all by yourself. And when you do, your amygdala forms a distant neural pathway, creating nostalgia. The feeling of loneliness is not something that is good, but for some reason when you stand atop a mountain listening to the beautiful soundtrack the game has to offer, loneliness is what puts the game together. The subtle chirps of nature here and there only add to the effect. This isolation not only pushes players into the game further, but also gives them a sense of independence and trust. The fact that no other major title has managed to create a sense of immersion into a game is unfortunate. So, with the upcoming release of Breath of the Wild 2 in the far, far future, fans are still waiting for a game to capitalize on the newfound power and pure excellence of Breath of the Wild ideas. To quote CNET, 3 years later, there was nothing like it upon release, and there's been nothing like it since. And although we've seen titles try, God of War, RDR2, Spider-Man, Destiny all can't hold a candle to Breath of the Wild. And therein lies the power of Nintendo. Often credited as being kiddie, family-friendly, simple company, they always find ways to deliver. Nintendo has never been one to flat-out compete with competition. Most of the time, they flat-out ignore it. But by doing that, they manage to create revolutionary games. And while we wait for Breath of the Wild 2, we can only look back and appreciate the marvel of the original.